Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome in, and thanks for coming back to Lights, Camera, Scream. Your host, Leon. So today I wanted to go ahead and go on a different subject. So outside of reviews, I wanted to mention about one thing I've been hearing online as of late. And one thing I've been hearing lately is VHS resurgence. Is this an actual thing, or is it really making a comeback? Well, I'll give you my opinions, and I will let you guys know what I think about my opinions on VHSs right there. And as far as I can see, who knows if that's going to be a long term trend? It's going to be a long term trend since Gen Z has come back in or looked into VHS tapes for several reasons, and there's a lot of reasons. Who knows if VHSs are going to be coming back into full motion, and yeah, and also I have a little bit of mixed feelings with VHSs, and I'll tell you right there. So before I get onto it, let me just show you what I have here behind me right there. So let's go ahead and take a look what we have. So as of recently, during the winter of this year, early this year, January, I was going through and rummaging my things up in the loft, which I have my things, or I should say, some of my what do you call it, my stuff that was hanging up in the loft, and for some time now, I didn't know if I lost the VHS DVD combo, and apparently so. I ended up finding not just the DVD VHS player, I ended up finding tapes like these, which I thought I lost it for a long time, and I always thought I'd lost these tapes. So, and I thought, man, this takes me back to my childhood, and I love going up back and rummaging to old movies like this, because it just reminds me of times that were very, very simple, and also those times that I remember going through VHS tapes when I was much younger, and then also the movies that came out in the 90s were really, really good, and you know, and a lot, and this is something coming from in as a millennial myself. A lot of Gen Z don't even remember VHS tapes clearly, like the older generations, like Gen X and millennials. Since I was a kid in the 90s, I still remember how to work with a VHS tape, and so that's one thing I really do like about VHS tapes, and I can go back and rewatch things that I haven't watched in a long time, and especially like this one is a Disney Classics, which is a Walt Disney Alice in Wonderland. I've watched it for the first time in, I don't know, like many years, because last time I've watched it, I was just a young kid, and I was living in Florida at the time, so I remember watching it a long time ago. But man, it has been a very long time since I've touched on Alice and other movies I have on my Disney collection too. As you can see over here, I mean, it's a great collection, and what I love about this is it has its clamshell cover, which I love, and compared to like the box covers right here, like as you can see, Tom Cruise's The Firm. I like, and that's one thing I have to say, is that you got a variety of covers. Like you got the box cover and the clamshell covers, which this one is cool. I do love both of them, and I mean, a lot of collectors will go for the artwork or the box like this one here, and this one I got over on Goodwill. And I will mention something: if you are collecting VHS tapes, one of the things as a collector is, for one, they are very, very fragile, the tapes. And that is something I will ever advise anyone, if you are looking to collect VHS tapes in the modern age, just remember, those tapes are not going to last forever. And VHS tapes does have a kind of a life shelf, like, which if you see like tapes rotting or mold on the tapes, I will advise anyone is be careful because they do wear out throughout the ages. So that's something I will advise at. And also for those examples, and why I would say that while I love the VHS tapes, in one of the things I've noticed with it, like I'm just gonna go and point out, and as I am going over here, I've noticed there's like some a mold over here, and as you can see, it's been worn out, or either it's something caught into it, or it's been weathered out. So that's why even throughout the new millennium, the shift of the new millennium, I always like the idea of DVDs, because even though people say, well, it's going to have its scratches, true, but you have to remember is that you're not dealing with tapes and having to deal with weathering too. Now, anyways, this is the cover of the firm, and the tape inside here is Saw. The Saw movie, which I got over on Goodwill. And one of the mistakes I made when I was looking to collect on or even purchasing on Goodwill, and finding tapes that is mismatched. And so that was my biggest mistake on even getting this, or even getting this without checking the tapes, because people will donate the tapes out, and they will mismatch the tapes, which I hated it too, because I got the incorrect movie. So I got the Saw movie instead, which I mean, I still watch horror movies, but it's not my favorite horror movie by all means. But yeah, overall, I have tons of tapes. I've gone back over a month and a half ago, which it was awesome to go back into my times and my simpler times as a kid, rewatching movies like that. It was a very cool time, and especially like Austin Powers International Man of Mystery. I've got this tape right here. Very funny movie. I got to watch it a couple weeks ago. Love it. And I will still rewatch it again and again because they're great. And then the other movies I'm going to go over real quick, which this one, The Snow Queen, I don't think I've ever watched this when I was a kid, but that one there, I've don't know who made this film. UAV Home Video. Never heard of this company before, but I'm sure everybody heard of Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is good. I got this over at a yard sale many years ago, which an old neighbor I used to live, pretty much had this tape, and I saw Jurassic Park, and I was tempted, and they were selling these tapes for like $1 alone, which was great, and I loved that they had Jurassic Park available. The only thing I don't like is the cover. The cover is not good, and it's not in the best condition. But you know what? I got to play this tape on my old gray DVD VHS combo right there, as you see in the back right there, and where you see the what do you call this thing? CRT TV right there in the back, which I can watch any movie in my room, which is great. Love it. I really love it too. And then there's an old school movie back in the 70s by Robert Redfield and who's the actress? There we go. Barbara Streisand and Robert Redfield. The legendary Redfield that passed away some time back. Rest in peace to him. Which is called The Way We Are. It's an old school film. It's a movie. Pretty much, it's a historical movie about a college campus that takes place in the 1930s. It's a romance, and and pretty much it's about their strain on a marriage. So that's one a movie I, even though I'm not a watcher of romance right there, but I got to watch it for the very first time, very first time actually, over, over what, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So that's that right there too. And there are tons of video and VHS tapes I can show off on the channel, which most of them are contain mostly movie family movie tapes like Disney and DreamWorks. So those were ones that I've held in my collection there. One and here's one thing I will say with VHS tapes are our VHS tapes are gonna make a resurgence or a comeback. And here's my thing about this too. I don't think it's gonna be a big comeback or anything like that with the previous physical medias that we've seen with vinyl, the CDs, and then surprisingly, cassette tapes are making a comeback. But I can probably see why cassette tapes are coming back. But VHS tapes, not so much really. And there's one thing why I'm only saying this as just as an opinion, because for the short term, first of all, if you've dealt with VHS tapes, you had, and this is my experience with VHS tapes, is that when I've owned a VHS player, a different one, not this one, but many years ago, I believe it was a JVC at the time. But during the time when I've had VHS tapes, I remember I've dropped a VHS tape and it broke on me too. And one of the things is that it is very fragile. And one of the things I don't like about that is that if you don't take care of it too, if you let's say if it gets beaten or the glass gets cracked from exposure like this right here, then that means there's more likely you're gonna experience like mold and weathering on the tapes, and then you'll see a lot of flakes all right on the television too. And I don't think it's gonna make a huge comeback over time. And while I say this, and there are companies or major studios that are making limited edition tapes, I just don't think it's going to be a huge comeback overall. And then coming back into my VHS tapes real quick, I wanted to mention something. Is like last night I got to rewatch Alice in Wonderland, and then The Emperor's New Groove that came out in the 2000s. And I was a young kid then, and I saw the trailer when I was a kid. I believe it was like a kid's TV channel, probably Nickelodeon or I don't know which channel. Who knows? Probably Cartoon Network. But I saw an advertisement one day many years ago. I thought this looks like a fun movie, and I've watched it back then. I believe I first watched it in the theaters, and then a few months later, I picked up the VHS tape for Emperor's New Groove. It is great. I love this movie so much that I ended up rewatching the movie. And fortunately enough, this movie is still kept in good condition. When you keep a tape in the box, which for me, my opinion, I actually happen to like the clamshell cover and over the boxes, only because I don't like the amount of exposure that it gets. Plus, the spine of the boxes, you have to be very careful with that too. But I always love the clamshell because of the protectiveness and how durable it is too. Even though this is a movie I've had for so long, this is a movie that played really well, actually, to my surprise here. Then the other ones, when I found the other tapes on the loft several months back, this one, not everybody has heard about this movie, Babe, Pig in the City. It's just another children's classic. enjoyed this movie when I was younger. And anyone that haven't heard of it, you're missing out on Babe Pig in the City. And it is a classic, and this is a movie that came out in, I believe, 1999. Let me take a look at the year, which is, oh goodness, great. Yep, 1999. There we go. 1999. This came out. Then another one I've enjoyed when I was younger. This one, Stuart Little. Oh, there we go. Stuart Little. It's a fun movie. I watched 1 and 2, and I only have the copy for 1. I've loved this movie so much as well, and it's like I've said though, the movies that came out in the 90s were peak at this point. So I've always loved the fact that they've had so many great titles. Like this one came out in the 2000s. So yeah, the year 2000, loved it a lot. And also other Disney tapes like The Spirit of Mickey here. And then The Return of Jafar, which I've never watched this before. I've only watched the first Aladdin movie. Can you believe that? But have not played it. Don't think I've ever played this one. No, I've never played it too. And see that too? Still, it's never been played. But who knows? I'll probably end up watching this one of these days before I decide I want to keep it or sell it. Who knows? But anyways, my thought about this is, even though I've enjoyed VHSs back then, the only thing I don't miss the most is rewinding the tapes. Because that can be a very much of a big headache. Because once you've watched the tape, then you have to go back and rewind the tapes that you've already watched. And so not everybody's going to enjoy the VHS experience. And that's why I've always enjoyed DVDs, because you don't have to worry about rewinding anything. And so that's one thing I know people will say, oh, I miss having to watch old school tapes. I don't really, even though I can see the appeal to younger people that have never experienced VHS tapes or the nostalgic feel to it. That's one thing I always say, that if you want to get it as a collector's item, sure, even for today's standards, you can. But I don't see the point of getting a VHS player or a VHS tape to enjoy something too. Because nowadays, DVDs, they have re-releases on DVDs now that you can just go out, get a DVD copy of, let's just say, for example, like Jurassic Park, or even, like I pointed out, Austin Powers on re-release too. They actually have the trilogy, Austin Powers 1, 2, and 3. So, and there you go. So I don't think you're really much missing out on anything, if I have to be very, very honest too. But regardless, the format on it too, like I would say, is if you have a small TV like the one I have here, a CRT, sure, go ahead and play around with it and whatever. Now, if you're like me, that if you were fortunate enough to get something like the DVD/VHS combo that I have sitting right here, then absolutely too, you sure can get a VHS or DVD combo, which it might, and just not to toot my horn a bit too, but I actually love having a combo just in case if anyone comes in, or if I were to borrow a DVD player one of these days. But you know what? I always love it too. But anyways, so what is your guys' take on VHS tapes? Are you going to collect them, or you're going to just get it just because of the nostalgic trend going in forward? Because I felt that even when I was watching other videos on YouTube, a lot of YouTubers have said that, oh, VHS tapes are going to be a big comeback. I'm not sure if it will. I just think it's going to be a very short trend, fad, if I have to be honest. A very short fad, only because the ones that are going to get it are pretty much collectors that are going to get the limited releases like in Walmart, Amazon, or wherever DVDs are out right now too. So again, I'm not too sure, but yeah. Anyways, leave your comments down below. What do you think? Are you going to be collecting VHS tapes, or are you going to be like me, sticking with DVDs, Blu-rays, and so on down the road? Let me know down in the comments. I do read all your guys' comments, so go ahead. I'm glad to read every single one of them and hear what all of you have to say. Anyways, this is Leon here with Lights, Camera, and Scream. I'm out of here. Take care, and so long.